Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
On today's episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, we're on location in St. Louis, Missouri, where Chris and Dave from two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out join Anthony to discuss their favorite video game twists. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode 418. Anthony here, and as you can see, I am on location. I am all the way in the middle of the country. This is kind of the middle of the country, right? We're kind of close. I'm in the middle of the country with Chris and Dave from two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. Guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the actual show and not on Zoom.
And physically on the show. It's very exciting.
On the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so happy to have you here in St. Louis, the gateway to the West, where...
I thought it was the gateway to something else.
No, this is where Lois Lane and Clark Kent were sent by President Nixon. I don't know my history very well, but I'm pretty sure Lois and Clark Kent were sent across the country, the gateway to the West. They found Crypto the Super Dog, something like that. I don't know. I may have had these details mixed up.
Yeah, I'm confused because I thought Clark Kent grew up in Smallville, Kansas.
They stopped there on the way to the New World, which they were already in the New World.
As in the
other side of the New World.
Right. Yeah. Is that why they named the place where we are right now Earth City?
That's it. That is why they named the place of Earth City. Yes.
Yeah. So we're just on the
ran out of ideas.
Exactly. So we're on the outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri. I decided to take a trip out here to see some friends, including Chris and Dave, who I was really excited about meeting you guys in person finally, because this is an absolute treat. Because I honestly wasn't sure if that was ever going to happen.
True. We do live far apart, and the odds of Dave and I traveling to New York are slim to none, let's be honest. So you guys had to make the trip, and I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah. No, and I'm happy I did as well, because so far it's been a really good sweltering day. The weather,
heat advisory.
Yes, there's a heat advisory going on. It's one of those days where you can cook poultry on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. It sounds great. But for the episode, I thought it would be great to talk about something since I'm traveling. I originally wanted to talk about games that involve travel, but the more I thought about that topic, the more I realized I'm like, well, almost every game involves some type of travel. You're going from point A to point B, right? Unless you're playing like bowling or something. So what I wound up settling on was, instead of something like that, there was another idea I had about video game twists. So things that happen in video games that you don't expect to happen during the story. And we settled on that as our topic. And I think that's a really fun thing, because I'm sure with all three of us growing up, there are experiences we had in a game where it's like, okay, I definitely did not expect that to happen. Yeah. So that's going to be our topic for today. But before we get to that, as all of you know, whenever I go traveling, I do a little shopping here and there. And Chris and Dave were nice enough to take me to a place called the Mall. And
yes,
maybe the last one.
The last operating mall in North America is in Earth City.
You want to write a script? The last mall on Earth City.
Earth City. Wow, that's
in Earth
City. I'm already getting ideas for that. So
all right. So no. By the way, nobody's allowed to copy that. That's ours. That's ours. Copyright. C 2025.
I just got word there is a Blumhouse production.
Oh shoot!
They already made it. It's It's already done.
Streaming now.
Streaming in October, right, for Halloween. So we hit up the Mid River Mall. I think it was Mid Rivers Mall.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
It's called the Mid Rivers Mall. There were a couple of stores there that actually had really solid selection of video games,
Yep.
Especially retro video games. So I took full advantage, and I picked up a few things. First off, for the PlayStation 1, I grabbed a copy of Missile Command. Now, I was a huge Missile Command fan on the Atari 2600. My dad used to play this game ad nauseum. So, and I've never had this version of it. So I thought, for what I paid for it, it was worth picking up and playing. I don't know if you've ever played
I have not
Missile
played
Command.
this one. No, I am a big fan of Missile Command on the
Absolutely.
Atari, but
Never gets
yeah.
old. It's one of those games that is just, regardless of what you play it on,
Yep.
it is just consistently fun.
Yeah, and I have to say, the arcade version, if you've ever played that with the trackball.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yes.
It's so much fun. So I'm excited to give that one a whirl. Another one I picked up is actually a game I used to have for the PlayStation, and I used to play it a lot. I don't know what happened to my copy, but this was a really nice copy of 10 Pin Alley. For those of you who like bowling games, I think this is the one bowling game I played the most out of like all bowling video games, because I didn't really play that many.
And I would say, even if you don't like bowling games, like
Yes.
this game is worth playing. It has a lot of fun. It's not the Wii bowling kind of
Yep.
experience of it, but for a bowling simulation, it is a ton of fun. I put an embarrassing amount of hours into Tin
Same.
Pin Alley. So yeah, good pick.
Yeah.
I've never played it, but
You
you guys have
should.
sold me, because I didn't start having an interest in bowling video games until the Wii, because it brought it into everybody's home. You got it with the system. But you guys have talked so well about it. I'm now going to go home and check it out.
Well, and the most important thing about this is you can create your own bowler.
Bowler. Oh,
So you can
yeah.
make yourself Dave the Bowler
Yeah.
with
a custom bowling shirt, maybe,
Exactly.
and bowling shoes.
bowling haircut.
Bowling
you know,
haircut.
do all of it. All right, so 10 Pin Alley is the other one. And then the rest of the games I picked up were actually for the 360. One of them is Scene It Box Office Smash. Now, I have the other Scene It game, which was Lights, Camera, Action. I don't know if you guys have played this
Yes.
one. Okay. This game, again, with my friends, played it like crazy. And I have the 4 controllers at home.
That was going to be my question.
I have
do
the
you have the set?
When I bought Lights, Camera, Action, I got the 4 controllers with it. So now I have the other Box Office
Nice.
Smash, which is great. Another one to add to my collection. I just talked about these types of games on episode 417, where we talked about comic book video games, and I picked up a copy of Injustice: Gods Among Us. I think I have the second one digitally, but you know how I feel about digital.
As most of us on this couch do.
2/3 of us agree that physical
I'm
copies are the way to
learning.
go.
I'm learning.
We'll
that
get you
digital
there.
is inferior, but
Well, you know when you'll learn when they take a game away from you.
This.
The second they take a game away from you, you'll see Dave at the store. It's like, that's it. I'm going physical, buying everything. And then the last one I got was actually one I've been looking for a while, which is X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is arguably better than the movie.
Fair.
Excellent game, absolutely solid Wolverine solo adventure. I know we're getting a Wolverine game next year from Insomniac.
Yep.
It got pushed out to next year, but for those of you out there who want to play a good Wolverine game, the X-Men Origins Wolverine game is the way to go. And this is the Uncaged edition as well, which is nice.
Whoa.
So I get all the extra stuff.
I only
super
play
extreme.
caged games.
Oh, you only play Cage games?
so-
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, you know what? Just get the step in. You're done.
Is that why it's rated M?
That's why it's right.
It's just too.
It's too
Uncaged.
uncaged.
Yeah.
It's so uncaged. It's beyond uncaged. What do you call something that is too uncaged?
Oh, I don't know.
It's the uncagiest.
It's the uncagiest.
Yes.
There you go. The uncagiest. The uncagiest of
Never
cages.
thought about that.
There you go. All right, but anyway, let's get back to the topic for the show this week. And again, like I said, we're dipping into the entire retro catalog to try and fish out what are some of the most memorable video game twists that we've seen throughout our gaming experiences. And I am going to turn to Chris first.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to ask you to share one of yours.
All right. So I thought about this topic, and the first thing I want to share is a twist that not everybody experienced. Okay. And it's a twist because of the particular way it happened to me. The game is Fallout 3. And
Okay.
I assume that we're reasonably familiar with that.
Sure.
And at the beginning of Fallout 3, you get to a town called Megaton. There's a giant...
Megatron?
No, Megaton.
damn.
I know, it's a different thing. And there's a giant nuclear bomb in the middle of the city. And everybody's like afraid of it because it's live. Like it could go off at any moment. And in the game, you can walk up to it, and there's a little menu option that's like disarm the bomb. And the intention for the game is if you try to do it at the beginning, you will fail the move and it will explode and you have to reload your game. So the idea is that you become really skilled over the course of playing the game. You come back, you disarm the bomb. So the first time I'm playing Fallout 3, I walk up to it, I hit disarm, and it's like success. So like the role-playing equivalent of hitting that natural 20 roll, and I disarmed the bomb, and it completely changed my beginning few hours of Fallout 3 because suddenly I had access to the entire Megaton. Everybody thought I was a hero and all of the things that unfold in Fallout 3 because of that. So that was a twist that maybe I, and I'm sure a few other people experienced, but it was a unique twist because it should have happened. And it was a 1 in a million shot that the developers left in there for people like me who just happened to get lucky. And so that was a great twist in Fallout 3 for me.
That is really cool. Have you ever played Fallout 3?
I have not.
Okay. And neither have I.
No kidding. Okay.
No,
if you like the Bethesda, like Elder Scrolls, okay, then Fallout 3 is a masterpiece. I don't know what you're waiting for.
You know what? I would love to answer that question, but I don't know these days I don't know what I'm waiting for with anything.
That's fair.
Yeah, that is fair.
I was waiting for you to buy me a copy. So,
Well, actually, yeah, we were at the store, so
I didn't know you guys hadn't played it. I just thought everybody played Fallout 3.
Well, see, that's why you ask.
Fair.
You know, that's
all right.
Always ask.
Well, Christmas is right around the corner, gentlemen. So
there you go. I know what you're getting for Christmas. You're gonna get his copy of Fallout 3.
Yeah, so he could rebuy it digitally. Obviously,
well,
no.
Exactly. Or you'll rebuy it digitally and then sell the game back.
So no,
yeah.
There you go. All right,
regift.
So
to you.
Oh, there we go. We can just pass them. We'll just pass it around.
Right.
I think that works.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Over to you. Video game twist in your catalog.
So here's what I did. I looked at it from the perspective of me as the player and what my expectations were of the game. And so I perceived that twist in a way that others might not see something as like the twist, but it totally subverted my expectations in the moment. Mm-hmm. So I went back to some of the older games, very retro. I think that's okay for this show.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I thought about situations where, man, I was expecting something and got something else or something better and extra. And my first experience like this is one of my earliest gaming experiences, and which was the first time I ever watched anyone play Galaga. And I had a little bit of experience with video games. I had an Atari 2600 at home. I had just recently got it. I had Galaxy, and I thought, hey, Galaga, it's prettier Galaxian. Sure, you had a little better music, actual music. But as I was watching my cousin play, she said, watch this. And she let the ship capture it. I'm like, why would you do that? Mm-hmm. Well, that's insane. And she shot the ship later, and it brought her back, and she got double ships. Excuse me, I thought you could beep that out.
Yes, I probably.
And I was like, did you just break the game? Did you? I mean, that's really what I thought. So in my mind, at that moment, that was a twist. That was absolutely blowing away the expectations I had of this simple shooter game, of which games I played. I played Space Invaders. I played, like I said, Galaxian, a few others, like Astro Blast on the Atari.
Oh, yeah.
Fun games. But this was taking it to the next level with a very early arcade experience and seeing that, subverting my expectations, a twist in the mind of an 8-year-old, tons of fun. I thought that is an experience that I would like to share in this context.
Okay.
That's a good twist. I would not have thought about that in terms of a twist, but I think you're absolutely right.
Of course, now you think of it, that's just how you play Galaga. Mm-hmm. That's just, right. But at the time, it was blowing my mind. You can do this? Are you supposed to be able to do this? Do we need to let the manager know here at Showbiz Pizza that you've done something wrong? And nope.
I broke your game.
I'm sorry, I broke your game. There's two of them down there. Yeah, I hope that this is. Send me a bill. We'll replace the board or the little gremlins that run this computer.
Well, that's funny because that actually brought up a memory for me that I didn't put on my list of twists because I didn't think of it as a twist. But when I played Asteroids for the first time, again, I was a kid. I played it for the first time on my Atari 2600, not in the arcade. and when I accidentally teleported the ship. I had no idea. I had no idea you can do that, and I was so confused because I was staring, dead center at the screen, and I'm like, "Where's my ship?" And I got blown up because I didn't. I literally did not follow it. So similar to that, but I would have never thought of that as a twist. But very interesting.
So you mentioned Asteroids in the 2600. I mean, that's an okay experience. Not nearly as good as playing in the arcade with the trackball and with the proper vector screen.
Yes. I will agree with that because I've played Asteroids, obviously, since in the arcade.
But still, at home, what is it, down and shoot or up and shoot? There's a way you do the teleport. I can't remember it now.
I think it was down because up thrusted you
got it.
Through the board so you can just move your ship. But okay, so that's a good one, Galaga. The first one that came to mind for me, or let me say, not the first one that came to mind, but the first one that I wanted to talk about, which I thought it's a twist that leads to a disappointment.
Ooh, okay.
And that was one where I was like, oh, okay, I definitely didn't see that coming. And it's an odd game to even talk about. But I want to bring up the Goonies 2 on NES.
Yes.
Yep.
Have either of you played that?
Yes.
Okay. Have either of you beaten that?
No.
Okay. So I was a huge Goonies fan growing up, so I was thrilled to get this game. And I did not find out until way, way later into adulthood that this was actually the second Goonies game that came out. This isn't the twist, by the way. The first Goonies game based off of the film was only released in Japan. It didn't come out in the States. So when we got Goonies 2, as a kid, I thought it was just a sequel to the movie. Yep. I was like, oh, we're getting a sequel to the movie in the form of a video game. Fine, I'll play it. But absolutely loved it. You're running around as Mikey. You're trying to save all of the Goonies who've been captured. And you get to when you finally get to the end, because after you save everybody, Annie is the last character that you save, right? And you get to the end and you release it. And, there are all these different boards. There's underwater stuff and all this stuff. You finally get to Annie's cage and you save her. And that's the end of the game, right? That's where you get to the end of the game. But then you get there and she's a mermaid. And I just remember sitting there and I'm like, what? I don't know. Like, why is she a mermaid? I don't understand why she's a mermaid. And there was no explanation for why she was a mermaid. They just did her up as a mermaid. All the other characters were just themselves.
Yeah.
And then you have Annie the mermaid. And I'm like, well, why? There's no explanation for it. There still isn't an explanation for it to this day. I would love Konami to let me know why Annie was a mermaid at the end of the game. But that was a twist I just saw as a total letdown because, again, I finally get to the end of the game. And that game's not easy.
No.
That game's not easy because that's like one of those, that's like the original Metroid. It's like a Metroid style game where you have no map. So you have to memorize where to open doors that lead you to all these different places and stuff like that. But then you get to the end and to find Annie as a mermaid was just like, it just hurt.
It
hurt my child heart.
It kind of reads to me like the Famicom Star Wars. I don't know if you have any experience with that game.
I do not.
You should look it up. I don't recommend you play it, but you should look it up online because it's bonkers. Like it does not follow the film. It makes no sense. Like Darth Vader is not the Darth Vader that you're aware of from the film, and it's just bizarre. And I feel like there was some games that were created back then, whether it was by Japanese developers or just developers who didn't care and they were just trying to get a game out, where they were like, "Oh, mermaid, sure, whatever, go with it, ship it. Are we gonna make the deadline? Good. That's all we're concerned about."
Yeah. But what's funny about it is that it would have been easier for them to just make her like a human character.
That's true.
It's like true. You've already made one. You made Steph, who was already a female character, so it's just like, just change a few sprites and you're done.
That's interesting. I wonder if there's some research out there that says
I got to do some research on it because they clearly went out of the way to make a mermaid, and I to this day I don't know why. And if we ever get a Goonies 2 movie, then Annie has to be a mermaid.
But then it would be like the greatest setup of all time.
Exactly.
Like that would be the long con.
40 years in the making.
of having this
Annie
mermaid
the mermaid.
character.
Some coder for Konami just finally got his screenplay sold. Annie the Mermaid, Goonies 2.
Annie the Mermaid, Goonies 2. She can replace Sloth.
Yes.
There you go.
Nothing can replace Sloth
that
in my heart.
True. Nope. Sloth is iconic. Can't replace it. All right. So Goonies 2 was my first one.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Good.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, "It's my classroom, you're just learning in it." And preppy polos that say, "I'm the teacher's pet," even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
Chris, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Okay, so the next one I want to talk about, these are not in any particular order, right?
Same with me.
Yeah, so the next one I want to talk about is Final Fantasy VI. Have either of you played Final Fantasy VI?
No.
Wow. Okay, I'm picking the good ones here.
6 as in the US 6, which was 3, or the actual 6?
Okay. The actual 6 was 3 in the US, and that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you.
So you're welcome. Okay, it is confusing.
Yes.
Curse you, Nintendo. Anyway, Final Fantasy VI. I am sorry that you guys haven't played it because I'm going to spoil a pretty big moment in the game for you.
It's okay.
It is.
If we haven't played it in 30 years, we deserve to.
Right.
That's kind of my feeling.
Tag
yeah.
should after 20 years, you could take the spoiler tag off.
All right. Okay. Well, in the middle of that game, so it builds up as your typical Final Fantasy, like the world's in danger. You get your party together to try to take care of and save everything, and you get to a point where the bad king that has been doing all of the horrible things in the world that you were fighting against, he comes to the table and he's like, you know what? I've seen the error of my ways. I want to make a truce. Let's come together and let's do all these things. So you go off and you do a couple of quest moments to kind of feed that into the idea. And you come back and you're like, wow, okay, we're wrapping up this game. This is like 12 hours into playtime. It's like, hey, this was great. This was fun. I really enjoyed this. And then the true enemy of the game is revealed, and it's Kefka, his jester, who just shows up out of nowhere, kills the king, and is like, screw this deal. I'm going to raise the entire planet. And he destroys the world. And then you go through the cutscene and you come back in the game as your characters, and the map is completely changed. Like everything has been destroyed. Everything's in rubble. And you play the next half of the game in this like post-apocalyptic kind of setting. And that blew my mind the first time I played it.
That is kind of awesome.
Just that awesome twist that you never expected. And here in a video game, and this was still, pretty early in video game history. So like that kind of deep storytelling was a rare thing. It wasn't like the typical. So to be sitting there, as a 11, 12-year-old, whatever I was, and be like, they actually did this? Like that was a plot point that they took. That was a huge, huge twist for me.
Okay. I can see that being a huge twist, especially if you're halfway through the game. You don't expect to be you don't expect to be shocked.
Yeah.
In that way.
But great, Final Fantasy VI is fantastic.
I know. Final Fantasy is another one of those series that I want to get my hands on and like just play through all of them.
Yeah.
I've only played through like 2 or 3 of them, and I need to get through the old, like 1 through 6. I need to go through.
Yeah.
My love of Final Fantasy started with 7.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
6,
with a lot of people.
Yeah. And if you go back just 1, that's all I'm asking is just go back 1 to 6.
Okay.
You will be you'll be hit with a story that you will wonder at night, is it better than 7?
All right. But 6, which is 3.
Right.
Right. 6, which is 3, but better than 7.
Potentially. I mean, I dearly love 7. Don't get me wrong. But that's my eternal question is, do I like 6 more or do I like 7 more?
Okay. Well, one day we may have to put you on the spot and make a decision.
Oh, that's rough. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a whole episode. You go back and forth with it yourself.
I'm hoping for a huge 3-game big budget remake of Final Fantasy VI. I think that would be amazing.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get 9 before we get that.
I think so. Oh well.
That's what a lot of people do. All right. So Final Fantasy VI, Dave. What do you got?
Before I go there, I want to add on to something you mentioned about Goonies and Goonies 2 and thinking, hey, maybe this is just a sequel to the movie, right? The headcanon you came up with, very clever, right? It turns out it wasn't all that clever because in Japan they did have a Goonies 1.
Correct.
I did something similar, and Chris, I think you did as well with Street Fighter. And that is when Street Fighter 2 came out, in my mind, I was like, oh, this is really smart. They're just calling it 2, so you think it's better than 1, which never existed. Now, if I would have just sort of, Occam's razored out the whole situation, I would have realized, there probably was just a 1 I don't know about. But no, I became convinced for a while.
Kid logic.
That, they were clever by half, and they came up with a 2 to try to get people interested in this game that just was magnetic on its own. It didn't need that kind of trick. But I only mention that not because that's my twist, but because it's kind of goes along with the Goonies situation as well.
Well, I was going to say, when I remember as a kid when I played Street Fighter 2, all I kept saying was, "Where's the first one? Where's
the first one?" I think a lot of people did that.
And it's a good thing we didn't know about that, because the first one kind of sucked.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, when I finally happened upon the first one, I was like, "Oh, this is why."
Yeah, that's why we didn't know about it. Absolutely.
Nobody pay attention to the 2.
Yeah.
So going back again. The first time I'd ever watched anyone play Mario Brothers was on one of the arcade Super Mario Brothers, the packing game with Nintendo, not the old school in the sewers. The first time I watched anyone play that was in an arcade cabinet at a Pizza Hut. So I was watching them just intently, sort of studying everything. So someday I was going to have a Nintendo of my own, and I was going to play this game. And so I watched them play. I watched them get to the warp zone, and I knew that they could go over and go to the pipes, or they could go down and go to the pipe and go to level 1-3, or they could go to the warp zone. And so to me, that didn't feel like a twist. I was watching it for the first time. That's just the way it was played. They went to the warp zone. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. They played for a little bit. I didn't get to keep watching them. When I finally got it at home, and I did that, and I went to level 4, and I got myself to level 4-4, I experienced something I wasn't expecting, and that is that just by going linearly through the level, I couldn't get to the end of the level. There was a maze built into that dungeon. And I was like, what the heck? What am I doing? Why? Because you have to go up and then go down and up and down. I couldn't remember. I don't remember the pattern, but I struggled to figure it out. I ended up having to ask someone who at school who was like, hey, I got to this part in Super Mario Brothers. Can't get through here. What's going on? Do I have a broken game? Or, obviously, kid logic.
Did they tell you, why didn't you just use the warp zone so you don't have to do that board?
I didn't see that warp zone.
Yes.
But it was, so no, they didn't. But what they would have been smart, but they explained to me what the pattern was. And then obviously then I realized there was patterns for all those dungeons. And then later I learned about that other warp in 4-2. But that was a huge twist for me. The warps I was fine with, because the first time I saw it, I saw those warps. I just thought everyone knew about that warp.
Right.
But the idea that there could be a maze element to this game, what in the heck? Again, what was I doing wrong? And realizing that was part of the gameplay, it made the game even more brilliant to my kid brain. Also, I was kind of behind everybody else because they were all playing, Super Mario Brothers 2 and awaiting Super Mario Brothers 3, watching The Wizard, That's right. And I was like, hey, I just got my first Nintendo. Please tell me how to do this. So, but to me, that was a mind-blowing twist. And I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, and rightfully so, because, Super Mario Brothers was such a landmark game for so many things. You wouldn't expect that in a platformer. You wouldn't expect, you're just doing a regular side-scrolling platformer. And to have that happen in, one of the most genre-defining games. Defining games right in the beginning.
That you got free as a pack-in with the system, right? So not only all that value, and it sort of defined, is this what every Nintendo game is going to be like? It set the pattern for what a good Nintendo game was going to be like, sort of the bedrock.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, and of course, I have fond memories of that. At the time, it maybe was slightly frustrating, but in a good way, because that challenge encouraged me to keep playing, right? If frustration that stops you, you put something away, you never revisit, is a bad frustration. The kind of challenge that you find that encourages you to investigate, to understand, to get better, that you can apply those solutions and patterns to future problems, that's the good kind that makes you invest in a game and invest in other games like it and become, as I have, a lifelong video game enthusiast. So I would credit actually that moment more so than anything with my love of video games was I recognized what could really happen inside these. It may seem like a silly and trivial thing, but running into a problem, not being able to blow through it just by running right the whole time, it made it a lot of fun, a lot more fun.
Cool. And by the way, that bad experience in video game lore is known as the LJN syndrome.
It's a bad case of LJN syndrome.
Yeah, LJN
I got that with my second game, and I'm not joking. My second game I didn't know it, but I borrowed it, was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was a frustrating LJN game.
I feel like I'm the only person that enjoyed that game.
You
I
may
think
well
I
be.
may be the only one who enjoyed it.
Mr. LJN, Larry J. North. I just made that up. No, he also hated it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we should call him. And
Mr. North, please.
Get Larry on the.
He's in an asylum. He has been since 1988 from the Who Framed Roger Rabbit incident.
You know what? I would believe that. I'd absolutely believe that. All right. I'm going to piggyback off of you with your Super Mario Brothers selection. And I'm actually going to talk about a Super Mario Brothers game as well. And it's actually not that far away from the one you're talking about, because on my list, I put Super Mario Brothers 2, the USA version, for a couple of reasons. One is the simple reason that us as kids in the US, I had no idea that they made an actual Super Mario Brothers sequel in Japan. So when I found that out many years later, like, that shocked me. Where it's like, wait a minute, when Lost Levels came out, Super Mario Brothers Lost Levels came out on Super Nintendo. For the what was it, the All-Stars, right? Super Mario All-Stars, which I saw in the store today, and I'm regretting not picking it up. So I may have to make another trip out there tomorrow. We'll see. But when I found out later on that Lost Levels was the actual Super Mario Brothers 2, like, that was a big surprise. But the bigger surprise I wanted to talk about with Super Mario Brothers 2 was with the game that came out in the US. And it was, first off, it was still a fun platformer. It played weird, obviously, compared to the first one. Obviously, we find out again years later that they took a game, Doki Doki Panic, and they reskinned it. Okay, fine. But anyway, it was still a fun game to play through. It was your first opportunity to play as Toad and as Princess Toadstool. She wasn't Peach at the time. She was still Princess Toadstool. So it was cool. You had the choice of 4 different characters, and each one had a different power, right? So, except Mario. Mario was just kind of,
he was the everyman.
He's the everyman, and then everybody else had something. But the twist in the game that threw me was at the end when you finally beat the game. And I'm like, okay, great, I beat the game. This is all awesome. And then what do you find out at the end of the game? You find out at the end of the game that Mario is sleeping. This whole thing is a dream.
Yeah. And
I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, I just ran through all of this stuff, beating Birdo and King Wart and all, and Shy Guys and stuff, which by the way, I will love Super Mario 2 forever because they introduced us to Shy Guys, and they're like my favorite character. I love Shy Guys. So, but just the fact of that, I played through this whole game, I felt a little cheated because I'm like, it wasn't even real. You know what I mean? And I get the whole thing's a video game, but still, like, as a kid playing through it, it's like, oh, this was just a dream, and later on you learn that, like, in the opening of the game, they're standing on a stage and there are curtains drawn, and it's like, okay, so they did paint it.
Yeah.
They painted the scene in the beginning, but who would catch that as a kid?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, no, definitely not me. So when I saw Mario dreaming at the end, I'm like, I was like, this isn't cool. Bring back Bowser. Let him kill them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I had very similar feelings. I felt betrayed that Mario was sleeping, that it was a dream, but it also helped me, like, understand why it was so different.
Yep.
And because as a kid, I knew it felt different. I knew it played different, but at that time we weren't cynical. We didn't have the internet. So it was like, okay, I guess this is Mario 2. This is what they've handed me. So I'm going to love it and cherish it. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh, well, that's why it's so different. Like, that was the headcanon I gave myself. It was like, well, it's a dream. So obviously it plays differently.
Yes. And then later, of course, we learned Nintendo just thought American children were too stupid to play the sequel.
And frankly, I think they might be right. That is a difficult sequel.
I think it's a very hard sequel. So yes, you are right. They make a solid case.
So let me ask you this both. If you were, put your mindset back in 1988, Nintendo of America, and you have Doki Doki Panic converted to a Mario game and Super Mario Brothers 2, and what we call the Lost Levels, which is the original Super Mario Brothers 2, and you were presented both these games, you said, which of these two do you want to release? Just from a game quality standpoint, which of the two would you go for? Which one do you think was better at the time for Nintendo of America? Which of those two do you think are better games?
I think Mario 2, the reskin Doki Doki Panic. Number one, I really enjoy that game. I think it's a crazy amount of fun. And even now that I know all of the history and I'm an adult and I've played it for the last 40 years, I still love that game. I think it's fantastic. And the second argument that I would make is if you look at Lost Levels, it's kind of ugly. It doesn't it doesn't even feel like a real sequel to Super Mario Brothers to me. It feels like this weird,
like a ROM hack.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, I'll piggyback off of that because I agree. I do think Lost Levels was really just they just went into the same code, and they just they redid it. Which could work in a sense, but again, you want something new, right? You want something presented to you that's new. But the main reason why I think the US version is the better version is because it opened the Mario universe up into something even more magical and colorful than what we had previously. Yeah. Because the first game, it was, you still had that, he's traveling, he's trying to save the princess and all that stuff. But the levels were pretty much very basic. You had your overworld levels, you had your underworld levels, and then you had your underwater levels, and then the castle where you fought Bowser. So you had like 4 different levels, but you would do those on repeat. And when you get to Mario 2, it's a lot of the same. Whereas Super Mario Brothers 2 USA version, again, everything is bright and colorful. All of the enemies that you're fighting are new. They're different. They do
new game mechanics.
Yeah, there are new mechanics. You have 4 characters to choose from instead of 2. So it, whether or not they meant to do this, which I don't think they did, I just think they were like, oh, stupid American kids here, play this one. Right. You'll be happy with this colorful, childish version. But what they wound up doing on the flip side of that is they really opened up the Mario world to something completely different. And they've carried that throughout the Mario franchise since.
I totally agree. It's a case of the right thing for the wrong reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I do totally agree.
Thank you for summing it up in 2 seconds when it took me like 5 minutes. And on that note,
I was deep in it, gaming on Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Unfolding the screen made it twice as big and so immersive, I kinda lost myself. Might have trolled a little too close to the sun. Someone in the chat told me to touch grass, so I took my Z Fold 7 outside and kept playing. Still won, got a tan, and a nice little reset. Powerful processor, realistic graphics, you stay locked in, streak stays alive. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
Introducing the perfect companion to your morning listening routine. AG1's clinically backed formula is now flavor-packed with 3 new delicious flavors: tropical, berry, and citrus. Start the day on a high note with probiotics that taste like the tropics. Mix it up with micronutrients that taste like berry or citrus. And take it all the way back with the classic AG1 Original with notes of pineapple and vanilla. Do your health a flavor, or 4, with AG1 Next Gen, the daily health drink. Learn more at drinkag1.com.
All right.
We're going to go back to Chris.
My turn. All right. And I'm going to throw, I think, the most modern game on our list so far today.
All right.
Have either of you played BioShock?
I am not a BioShock guy.
You've not played it, or you're just not a fan?
I've not played it.
Okay.
I've not played it.
Man, I'm going to spoil this one for you too, guys.
You know what? You can spoil all the new games. That's fine. Or the newish games. Yes.
Okay, so BioShock, the elevator pitch for this twist is you start the game and you are taken to Rapture, this underwater city, and there's this voice that's constantly asking you to do things. And it's like, would you kindly go and solve this problem for me, and all these types of things, right? And it's a very friendly voice, and so you're built up in the game that you think that this is your friend, right? And I think you guys can see where the twist is coming, because not your friend, but the coolest thing about the twist is through the whole game, you're seeing, would you kindly? And every time you're asked to do something in a level, the narrator guy, this voice is like, would you kindly do this? And you find out that is a hypnotic implant. And anytime you hear, would you kindly, it's forcing you to do it. Like you lose the will. But what's great is the game is set up in such a way that we as gamers have been trained to do all of these tasks in a video game. So, all these things, would you kindly do this? And you're like, well, of course I'll do that. I'm playing a video game. I'm going to go beat that big guy for you. No worry.
I'm just going to sit here. I might pause it.
Right. And so then when you get to the end and he's like, no, if I say, would you kindly, you have to do it. And you're as the player, you're like, whoa. That just messed with my mind a little bit. So that is my other twist that I'm bringing.
That's a really cool, like, psychological
Isn't it?
twist.
Yeah. I really, even if you're not a BioShock guy, there's some value in that game. Even if you just watch like a playthrough, it's a really cool universe. It's a really cool presentation, and it's done really well.
So I got to ask a question though, having not played BioShock. So you said that you get forced to do it. So like if you willfully try to change it, like you're like, I'm not going to do what they're saying.
Right.
I'm going to go do something else. Does it like just kind of start to guide you back that way?
No, because the game is set up, it would be the equivalent of if you were playing Super Mario Brothers, it would be like, would you kindly jump on the flagpole?
Oh, okay.
Like if you don't do it, you're not going to progress.
You're not progressing.
Right.
Okay.
So which is part of the brilliance of it, right? Because like the purpose of BioShock is not to be an open world, like choose whatever you want to do kind of thing. It's like this is a linear game. This is a linear story, and the way they set up the narrative when that would you kindly happens, you're just like, oh wow,
got it.
Am I? And then you like start looking about in your own life, and it's like, do I have free will at all? And it's that kind of a thing.
All right. That's interesting. All right, that piques my interest about BioShock.
It's good.
Is BioShock's first person?
Yes.
That's the reason why I don't play it.
No, yeah.
I thought
first person headaches.
I thought for a moment you were going to say that your character name was Kindly. Yes. No, really, it is like, would you kindly? Right.
Kindly?
Yes.
I think you're just missing a comma.
That's the twist.
Yeah.
Your name is Kindly.
That's the twist. They show up and put a comma in the text.
All along you have been kindly.
Oh, man.
They got you. I am an English teacher. Oh, my gosh. Well, Dave, would you kindly share your next one with us?
I'm going to share one that I wasn't going to do, but we talked, Chris and I did before the episode, and I kind of had concerns about doing this because I couldn't remember all the details of it, but I'll go ahead and just share it because I think that this game is actually full of sort of twists and turns, and it was ahead of its time, even though it is an older retro game, and that was Maniac Mansion. And in Maniac Mansion, there's just so much to do. It does feel like and there are, in fact, multiple paths to completion that have different endings and not just like different graphical endings, but different outcomes that come about. But to me, a surprise was that Evil Ed is actually on your side. And as a player, you don't know that. Right. And also his name is Evil Ed, which doesn't.
You just naturally assume.
Just kind of make some assumptions.
Yeah.
I think that is something that, along with many things in that game, there were surprising things, twists, turns, shocks, and just you felt like you had an incredible amount of freedom. It was just an incredibly well-designed game, but that was quite surprising. And for a handful of folks on the NES, you could also, as pretty much everybody knows, do things like put your hamster in the microwave. And I believe that all the versions of the PC game allowed you to do that, if I recall correctly, PC and Mac.
Yeah.
But a handful of the NES ones got out with that code still intact. Mm-hmm. So I think that game is actually full of them, twists and turns, and it feels, far more modern and like you're, like you actually have a degree of agency as you go through the game, and the outcome could be determined by your actions in a way that games at the time just simply didn't seem, just mind-blowing. So I'd say that was a twist. I don't want to take full credit because I couldn't remember all the details, but talking through it between Chris and I, that was kind of my last one that I was ruminating on. But I just think that's also just a fun, great game.
All right. Well, and you can thank Lucas Games for that.
Absolutely.
Really yeah. I will say, as much as I loved Maniac Mansion, and I did love Maniac Mansion, the thing that always drove me nuts, I had it for the NES, was that I was, you got to choose 3 characters, but you were always stuck with Dave.
Yes.
True. And I hated that.
Yeah, I've heard that. My wife has said something similar, and it's I get it. I do.
Always stuck with Dave.
I empathize.
We're always stuck with Dave.
I feel the same way.
Dave.
No, not at all.
No getting away from Dave.
Maniac Mansion is potentially my favorite game ever.
Really?
I really love that game, and every time I play it, I always just immediately put Dave in the dungeon, and he's just the kid that gets everybody else out of the dungeon.
That is correct.
Yeah,
that is his job. Yes. Yep. You rot in the dungeon and let everybody else.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, and that's fine. At least you serve a purpose, right?
Low expectations, hard to fail.
And
I get it. I'm good.
Maniac Mansion is one of my favorite games. I have an original copy, full, complete in box on the NES.
Wow.
It's one of those prized possessions. I wish it was sealed, but it's not.
So, Dave the Tentacle, how do you feel about it? The sequel.
I enjoyed the sequel.
Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I would almost argue that any game LucasArts put out was really solid
during that period of time. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a sucker for a good point and click adventure.
That too. You get point and click adventure games are hard to pull off. They're really hard to pull off, and they just had the formula down pat.
Absolutely.
Another one of my favorites, Grim Fandango.
Yes,
which was unbelievably awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that game too. But Maniac Mansion, that's a good one to bring up. I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to go into a little bit in the future, but not as far as you went. I'm going to go to PlayStation 1. And I'm going to talk just briefly about Resident Evil, because this is a twist. No, in all honesty, I don't think anybody saw coming. But it's also one of those twists that everybody knows. So it's one of the most well-known twists. And it's the moment you find out that Albert Wesker works for the Umbrella Corporation. So I don't know if you both played through Resident Evil.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I did not complete it because I'm terrible at it, but yes, I'm familiar with all the beats because I've watched the videos. Yeah.
But just when that moment happens, especially like you're so far into the game, obviously you're running through this mansion trying to survive and everything like that, and all of your other, you're trying to figure out where are your other friends, they're all in there somewhere and everything like that, and then the secret comes out that Wesker is one of the masterminds working for Umbrella, trying to do this. And he wants all of you to die. It was just such a cool horror movie twist, befitting of a zombie movie, right? Basically, or a zombie video game in this sense. But even though it was something that made complete sense, it was still one of those like kind of jaw-dropping moments where you were just like, no, wait a minute. I'm like, he's on our side, but how is he working for Umbrella? I just remember like getting so mad at not at the game, but just at the story beat. Yeah. Where I was just like, I want to beat the crap out of this guy now, and I need to do it now. Like, it was just such a cool moment. And Wesker goes down, and I honestly think Wesker goes down in history as like one of the greatest video game villains of all time.
I would agree.
Yeah. And we're getting a new Resident Evil movie soon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're getting a new Resident Evil movie soon. And if I'm not mistaken, because he basically told, I don't have any of the information on me. I'm forgetting who's making it and all that stuff. But the guy who plays Homelander, Anthony Starr, basically went to them and said, I am Albert Wesker.
Oh, wow.
He's like, I am Albert Wesker. And he looks just like him. Wow. He puts the shades on and everything. And I'm like, and I think that's what we're getting. I think we're getting Anthony Starr's Albert Wesker.
Wow. It would be a real disappointment and I know fan casts rarely, but it would be a disappointment to everyone if he was not Wesker, including to Anthony Starr, because of how bad he wants to do it. So I'm really very hopeful that happens. It would be great for. I think it would be great for the movie, right? It'd make for a more quality film, but I think it'd also be great for the film's box office potential. To have someone as recognizable and likable in a villain role, who he's shown that he can make villains fun through his turn as Homelander and the boys. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
And that's Wesker in that way. He's a little over the top. He's got a little humor to him, even though it's like in the game it's cheesy. Yeah. But he's got that style to him, and Anthony Starr can pull that off in spades. So I think I honestly think if it hasn't happened, it's a no-brainer. I don't think they would turn him down. It's just perfect. But again, going back to the video game, it was just that twist that was not expected, and worked out. It was an awesome twist. It was just an awesome twist. So Resident Evil, gotta go with that. So Dave, you said you were out, right?
I'm good.
You're good. You want to do one more each?
I can do one more, and then I'm out myself. So
okay, and then I'll do one.
And I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that I can pick another game that neither of you have played, because that would be,
I know you're kind of going across the board.
I know. I'm excited. So, have you played Fez?
No.
Yes, Dave.
I don't. I know.
That's the one with the hat that hops around.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. No.
Okay. So he's a little white character guy with the Fez hat. And anyway, it's a brilliant game. But I'll tell you, the moment that it twisted for me, and I was just like mind blown, because it starts off as a very competent platformer. Okay, and the controls are tight, and what you're tasked with doing the game is super fun. And it's a little bit open world's not the right term, but you can go anywhere you want, right? And like part of the exploration is very much part of the game. So as you're playing through the game, it's beautiful pixel art, it's detailed, there are all these symbols everywhere. This is part of the background and part of the landscape, and you're like, oh, this is really nice design. This fits with the flow of the game. And then you get to a part where all of these symbols that you have been seeing through the game are presented in a linear fashion. So they're next to each other, almost as though they were letters, shall we say. Mm. And in front of the way they're positioned is a dog that is sleeping with a fox jumping over him, running back and forth. So it is a quick brown fox jumping over a lazy dog. And then you realize, wait a second, there are messages hidden through this entire game.
Oh, wow.
And I've just been given the key to decipher them, because now I understand the alphabet that they've used to create all of the background art that I've been playing. Wow. And so then you can, if you want to, you pull out your notepad and you write down the codes and you go through and you start unlocking the lore of this game, which is incredibly deep.
That is amazing.
It really, really is. In such a clever way to present it. I don't know. It was very popular when it came out.
No, I know. I don't know how I missed it, because that type of game is right up my alley. So that's
would love
incredible.
it. Yeah, go back and give Fez a shot.
What is Fez on? What is that?
I think you can get it on just about everything. It was originally one of the 360 arcade launch titles.
Okay.
But they've ported it to everywhere. You can even get it on iPhone.
A game with that sort of depth was a 360 arcade. That's really interesting. I mean, I'm not mocking it or anything. I mean, that's I was always under the impression that those games were super casual, so that's really cool.
A game called Braid also launched with the arcade.
I need to get Braid. It's been on my wish list for a long time.
And almost made my list of incredible twists.
Yes.
But it did not, so.
Okay. And that's fine.
Incredible twist because it's about braiding?
No.
At the end of it, you're just braiding somebody's hair.
That's right.
Okay, I'll give an honorable mention to Braid, because you don't know what the twist is, Dave. But in the whole thing, it's a Mario style game where you're trying to chase this princess like character, and every time you get to the end of a level, this other guy comes and swoops her away, and in the next level, so you think you're going to rescue her, and at the very end you find out you're the guy that's trying to kidnap her. Yeah, and so you're the villain of the game.
You're the Bowser, basically.
Yeah, and it was very, very clever, very good twist. So there you go. I had 5 today. So
there you go. All right, nothing wrong with that. I can throw an honorable mention out really quickly, because the one I have to mention is probably one of the most well-known ones. But a quick honorable mention would go out to Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Okay. So Chrono Trigger. Have you ever played Chrono Trigger?
Briefly. Not my kind of game.
Yeah. Probably one of the best, if not the best, RPG ever made. You can people can make arguments for it, no question.
Yeah.
Right. But what was amazing about this game is that for an RPG game that you put so many countless hours into, the fact that it had so many different endings was insane. I think I don't know if it was like 10 or 12.
Yeah.
There were so many different endings to this game that you can lead to. But the twist I'll just mention really quickly is that there's a moment in the game, spoiler, where Chrono dies, right? And then you essentially have a choice where you can carry on and leave him dead, or you can save him and then continue on the story with Chrono. And the amazing thing about it is the fact that he's basically the lead of the game, right? It's his game, Chrono Trigger. And that the fact that you can continue the game without him because he's dead, and you can leave him dead, to me was just wild.
Yeah.
Just a wild concept there. That was my honorable mention.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
Yes.
If you leave him dead, you continue the game. Does he come back at some point anyways?
I don't know, because I never left him dead.
Okay. All right.
I'm 99% sure he will come back.
He probably does.
But you can, I mean, it is a moment in the game, and it's presented very, very well.
Yeah.
Square at the time would just do magic with pixel art. Like, I don't know how they did it. And we talked about Final Fantasy VI earlier, and Chrono Trigger is right there around the same time, and just two amazing games.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
And then the one that I want to mention to close off with is probably, again, one of the most well-known twists in a video game. And you're going to know this one the minute I say it, because it's probably already in your head. But I want to just have to mention Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
You can't talk about twists in video games without talking about the death of Aerith.
Yeah.
At the end of Disc 1. Was it at the end of Disc 1?
It was Disc 1.
It was the end of Disc 1.
Absolutely.
I remember that because when that happened, when Sephiroth killed Aerith, I couldn't put the next disc in. I had to put the game down, and I literally had to just sit there and absorb what just happened.
Yeah.
I could not believe that actually occurred. That there was one of the main characters in your party just gets murdered right in front of your face, and she does not come back.
Yeah.
She is just dead for the rest of the game. For the other 2 discs, gone, dead.
Yeah.
And the biggest, that was just such one of the biggest emotional moments in video game history, period. But the other thing about it is, when you get past the emotional aspect of it, is how incredibly frustrated you were because you would level her up by putting
You
her...
lost all that.
Yeah, by putting her in your party. You could have used other characters to level up and just leave her alone. But you spent all this time and effort leveling her up, and she was a strong character because she was a healer. And I would level her up. I leveled her up like crazy because it's like, oh, I have a healer. It's like I want her in the party all the time. And then boom, all gone. Wasted.
Yeah.
Totally wasted.
So in playthroughs, the second time through, I've got to imagine that changes your strategy up to the point of her death, right? You're not spending
nothing
experience to level her.
And there's a point where you're like, what kind of gears is equipped to her? We got to get that off.
Like, hey,
we're just going to steal everything you have.
Right.
I'm going to take all your
Can I have your watch, please?
Yeah, no. Take her bracelets.
Yeah.
Yep, you take everything. That's it. Yeah, but just probably one of the most, I have to say also, like watching it was like one of the most beautifully choreographed scenes.
And the music that is tied to that moment.
Yep.
And it's become like everybody knows about it. If you care about video games at all, everybody knows that moment. So it's really hard to express to somebody else who's kind of lived with that knowledge what that meant in 1997 when you were playing it for the first time. And I think the best way that I can sum it up is gamers were so scarred by that for decades there was the persistent rumor that, oh, there's a way to revive her.
Yes,
like
I remember that.
There are ways. My cousin's best friend's buddy said that if you did these things, that she would come back and you could put her back in your party. And even with the birth of the internet, when all knowledge was at our fingertips, people were still like, no, I'm pretty sure you can still revive Aerith.
Well, I remember a lot of stuff coming out where they were like, oh, people uncovered code in the, uncovered her name in the code in the other discs to mean that she can come back and all this stuff. Yeah, I remember going through all of that. And I remember saying, I wish I knew that. I would have brought her back.
Yeah,
but
and none of it's true.
None of it is true.
But we couldn't cope emotionally, so we made up these stories to make ourselves feel better.
We did. Well, we made ourselves feel better for losing a pivotal character in this game and for losing all the stuff that we wasted time giving her. Yeah. But definitely had to mention that one. Like, that one's like,
of course.
In my opinion, like I don't think it gets any bigger than that.
I think that's a fair argument. I really do.
I mean, I as a non-RPG player, not playing Final Fantasy VII, I even knew about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that's how much it permeated into the gaming culture beyond those that don't even play that type of game.
Yeah. So I think we covered a good amount.
This was a twisty episode.
This was a very there was a lot of twists and turns.
I have one more.
You do?
I have one
That's a
more.
twist.
It's a twist.
It's a twist.
No, it's a twist. I was reserving
check
it.
the twist?
It was. Well, I was reserving it because this is kind of a big one. It's kind of a niche one, but I thought I'll just toss this out, and maybe you guys will learn something. But did you know that in the original Metroid, Samus is a woman?
What?
I'm just saying. That's what I've been told.
That's not true.
Whoa, I don't believe it.
No, I don't believe it either.
And under the suit, the suit,
I think
it's
it's
a bikini.
I think it's very offensive for you to make up these lies and then just throw them out there to our audience.
This is the Christopher Nolan edition. This is the twist at you didn't see it coming, Dave, swooping in with a twist, blowing everybody's mind. But the question is, does the top stop spinning? Is this twist real? You're going to have to research yourself. You're going to have to play the game. You're going to have to Google for 4 or 5 seconds and find out if I'm telling the truth or making up a fib about the main character in a little game called Metroid. By the way, if Metroid had never existed, I think with what you said about Goonies, we could be talking about Goonie-vanias right now,
Goonie-vanias.
not Metroid-vanias.
That's right.
I'm so glad Metroid existed.
Because we would have because naturally we would have gone from Goonies to Super Goonies.
Yeah.
Right, Super Goonies in space.
Yeah.
And then we would have gone to Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Boom.
Goonie-vanias.
Goonie-vania. There we go.
I think you should start just dropping that into conversation to see if anyone knows what you're talking about, or maybe they think there's just something. Something's wrong with Anthony.
Like one of the Belmonts is running through the mansion, and here comes Annie the mermaid. She just swims by, and
exploration, mermaids.
Are you playing that new Goonie-vania? I've heard a lot about that.
I'm totally playing that one. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. All right, and I think on that note, I think we can. I think we can call it here. But guys, this has been an absolutely fun episode, and not only a fun episode to record, but just it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys in person for a change. I think this is awesome. I would love to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
We'll figure it out. I don't know when, how, or where, but we'll figure it out.
We'll pray to the Goonie-vania gods to try and help us out.
And a mermaid will show up and with plane tickets.
Get on my back.
Plane ticket, yes.
And then we're landlocked in where we live in Southwest Missouri. It's going to be extremely difficult.
She was gonna swim you over if it wasn't for the lake. So,
I hope you guys don't mind brain-eating amoebas because they're all over, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
And speaking of brain-eating amoebas, where can guys find you? Where can everybody find you?
They can find us at 2middleagedguys.com. That is 2, the numeral 2, middleagedguys.com. And from there, you can get to our socials, to our podcast feed, our YouTube channel, all the different places where we live.
Yep. Awesome. Check us out.
And obviously for the Retro Gamers Podcast, you can find us everywhere at the Retro Gamers Podcast, on Facebook, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify at Retro Gamers Podcast. And you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Indeed.
And we will catch you next time on the Retro Gamers Podcast.